So, probably the biggest news of WNBA free agency came out about an hour or so ago, with Chris Haynes confirming that the two-time WNBA champion, three-time All-Star and former MVP, Breanna Stewart, will be re-signing with the Seattle Storm on a Supermax one-year contract. With Stewart being the biggest free agent in this WNBA free agency class, this is big news, but one thing about it all has left me a bit perplexed. Why just 1 year? Breanna Stewart could have easily returned to the Storm or gone elsewhere for a lengthier contract, so why has she decided to just sign on for 1 more year? What is on her mind? I have a couple of ideas that may be the real reason why she decided to put the pen to paper on this deal, and I'll be explaining that in today's video. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. For more women's basketball content like this, I'm aiming to reach 2,000 subscribers on this channel by March, so all support would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about Breanna Stewart. There have been a lot of reports on Stewart's free agency process. Practically every team in the league has shown interest in her and wanted to give her a contract, but the two teams that have stuck out by far the most are the Seattle Storm and New York Liberty. Obviously, Seattle is the team Stewart has been with since the beginning, winning multiple championships with the team since entering the league in 2016, so they were always going to play a big part in the race for her. However, when reports came out that Stewart was interested in potentially signing with the Liberty, that shook up the whole process, as it wasn't definitive that Breanna would return to Seattle, like initially thought. Obviously, that's not now the case, but the fragility of the contract, being just 1 year, makes me suspect that Breanna Stewart isn't fully committed to the Storm long term. Another interesting thing to note is how far things went along with New York in the recruitment process. I mean, according to reports, Stewart did have an in-person meeting with the Liberty, indicating they were pretty close to reaching a deal, a lot closer than any other team in the league, except the Storm. That tells me that Stewart liked a lot of what she saw in New York, which makes a lot of sense, because she'd be able to add a lot to the team and probably lift them into title contention status. The duo of Stewart and Ionescu would be simply ridiculous, and the combination of Sabrina's playmaking and touch out of the pick and roll, combined with Stewart's pure dominant scoring abilities, would be borderline unstoppable, and is no doubt something enticing to Stewart. Merge that with even more support from underrated all-star Bentija Laney, who certified herself as an elite scorer in the league last season, sharpshooter Sammy Whitcomb, and former Defensive Player of the Year Natasha Howard, it's clear that New York are on an upward trajectory, something that will be catapulted even quicker upward with Breanna Stewart joining the team. Again, the Liberty are a very tempting team for Stewart to go to, and it's probably why negotiations with the team went as far as they did. But in the end, Stewart settled on Seattle. So why did she decide to do this instead of going to New York, where she seemed to show a lot of interest? The answer to that question is Sue Bird. With Bird playing her final season in an illustrious WNBA career, I believe Stewart's decided to run it back for one last dance and try help Bird win a ring in her final season. The two are close, and if Seattle didn't have Stewart on the team, it's likely Seattle struggle and aren't a championship caliber team, especially since there's also a chance that Jewel Lloyd leaves the Storm as well this offseason, though she is currently cored by Seattle. By doing this extra year with the Storm, it allows Breanna to play out a final season with her championship teammate and try go for a third ring in 5 seasons. It also allows her to reevaluate her long-term prospects, because if she doesn't like where Seattle is heading after Sue Bird's retirement, then it's easy for her to go elsewhere to a more desirable location where she can continue to chase rings, not sit in mediocrity. With the way Seattle's roster is currently built, I think they'd struggle to keep up with the likes of Connecticut, Chicago, and Las Vegas in a few seasons' time. And if Breanna believes that this is still the case at the end of next season, this contract gives her the flexibility to leave to a more desirable team, aka the New York Liberty. Now obviously, this is all hypothetical here, what I'm talking about. My theory could be completely wrong, but I don't know. The way these reports look, and then the way she's gone back to Seattle, but just for one season, indicates to me pretty heavily that she's not super invested in Seattle long term. And in my eyes, that could mean a possible move to New York in 2023. Essentially, what I'm trying to say here is that Breanna Stewart is willing to run it back in Seattle with Sue Bird one last time. But after that, it's looking like she might end up leaving elsewhere for a better spot on the horizon, specifically in New York. They're a younger team with a lot more promise for championship glory than how Seattle's roster is currently constructed, and maybe Breanna just wants a change of scenery. Regardless, the decision to sign just a one-year contract shows me that Stewart isn't ready to commit to Seattle long term, and after doing a final dance with Sue Bird in 2022, she might just be on her way out. At the end of the day though, we really don't know what this decision means until Stewart clarifies the reasoning herself, but for the meantime, we can speculate. And in my opinion, with the way contract talks seem to be going from reports from the reliable Chris Haynes, I personally think that Breanna Stewart sees herself in New York after this last dance with Sue Bird this season. And that's why I believe she's decided to sell herself a bit short and sign just a one-year deal this free agency period. And that will conclude the video. What do you guys think of this? Why do you believe Stewart returned to Seattle for one season? Do you agree with my theory? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.